Welcome back, Water Trio listeners. I'm here with the lovely Cassandra and Kelly, and we're all ready for the Astrology of the Week, beginning the 4th of November. This is our actual anniversary, 1 year to us. Hip, hip, hooray. We have recorded a bonus episode for this week, so please have a look out for that. But yeah, we're really excited to be back and have everyone on a journey with us for this whole year. So thank you to everyone who's been with us, either for the whole thing or part of it, and everybody that's just loved us along the way. So let's dig into the 4th of November astrology. I think I'm throwing to you first, Cass, aren't we?
Yeah. I mean, I guess I'm the first cab off the rank today. Yeah. So on the 5th of November, Tuesday the 5th, we've got a Mars-Pluto square occurring across 20 Libra and 20 Caps. So I guess in some ways it picks up the energy of the astrology of last week actually the week before, a bit of a crossover with the time zones, but the Mars square Saturn of October 27, 28. Now, just before we kind of got started, we just recorded our bonus episode for our 1 year anniversary, the Saturn-Pluto piece. And in some ways, this is like a little bit of a mini version of perhaps what we will experience. So what we were talking about in the last episode was, we've kind of done a lot of the Saturn this year, and then next year it's a little bit more of the Pluto. So I guess we can kind of tie in the finishing of October and the beginning of November a little bit to what we might experience come January. So Mars and Pluto, I love this aspect. It's like being a woman or a man on a mission, getting something done, getting something initiated, going for gold, so to speak. You might sort of come across some, potential obstacles with Pluto there, but the further you're prepared to dig, the more you're ready to like grab your chomp your teeth on the bit. The further you can go with something. Sometimes this can feel like an unstoppable energy, like if you've really got something that you're really passionate about, Mars. But it can also be a little bit maybe the powers that be, or the not so much overwhelmment, but feeling like maybe that, the power is too intense or it's too much, and it can kind of stop you from taking action. What are your thoughts around it, Kel?
Yeah, look, I do like the Mars square Pluto. I think it's, there is an intensity to it. There's almost that obsessive kind of compulsion. Like, I want to get this done. I want to move a mountain. Pluto and Mars both speak to that quality of will and forcefulness. Because they're in that square aspect, they're kind of at odds with each other a little bit. And it does feel like, you're trying to do something and there's this big barrier in the way, but you're so determined that you just keep at it, and you either chip away like through, sheer stubbornness, or you come to some agreement that, like, squares to me always speak a little bit of like adjustment or negotiation. And I think with Mars in Libra, there is that negotiation or that kind of weighing the pros and cons. And so because it's a square, a part of me is like, are we able to get things done, or do we find ourselves kind of at this loggerheads where we really have to negotiate how to move forward with the other people or with the circumstances or even with the bureaucracies around us? Yeah. Because Pluto in Capricorn may not just be another individual, but could be, a government organization of some kind, for instance.
It kind of, the square reminds me of like, when you're in a traffic and who has right of way here, and like you go, yes. I go, you go, and then nobody goes.
Yes.
So, it can be that kind of, to throw back to one of your classic statements, the argy-bargy, I think you said one time on the show, Leisha.
Yes.
I hadn't heard that in ages. So, with Mars and Libra, it might also be about bringing in your, key negotiation skills to get you out of a jam, or to express yourself in a way that can kind of, bring about a fair resolution or something along those lines too.
Yeah, totally.
Like the argy-bargy.
You need to have a bit of charm and wield that kind of diplomatic swing with Mars there. It's like not to come out fighting, but to come out loving and see where you can come from with this. But yeah, for me, this is potential run-ins with authorities, pushing back against the boss and trying to get what you want, what you need resolved in front of them, but without the expectation that it will happen. So it's being willing to assert yourself and put yourself forward, but also know that the powers the powers that be may not necessarily be on your side in this particular time, but it's not to say it won't happen. It's just have a bit of patience with this and maybe a bit of tenacity and really see what the potential is. So don't be too hindered by it. Mars is going to continue pushing through soon into Scorpio. And that's when Mars will really have his power back. So it'd be interesting to see if resolutions to any issues that happen now will come up then.
Yeah, I do think I liked, Kath, how you linked it to the Mars square Saturn of like October 27, 28, because then Mars square Pluto, it's all kind of Libra to Capricorn. So those two parts of your birth chart being a little bit at odds or there being some tension there. And then what you were saying, Lise, just made me sort of think about the idea that there is that negotiation required. Mars in Libra is very much, he's trying to find a way forward that pleases others or has that compromising kind of, this is something we can all agree on, but having to really dig deep into, whether he can get that or not. And the Mars square Pluto, because it's happening, it's Tuesday the 5th of November, 20 Libra to 20 Cap. I think it's the 5th for you gals as well in Australia.
Yes.
Yeah. There's nothing happening on the 4th or 6th astrologically. So it feels like it's really going to flavour a solid part of the first half of this week at least. Yeah.
And it's a Tuesday. It's a Mars day, it'll be interesting to see what flares with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love what you said. There was something that you said, Lishi, and I can't remember what it was, but what came to my mind was, kill them with kindness,
Yes.
rather than kind of going in all gung-ho. It's kill them with kindness or, or bitchcrafting, however you want to look at that.
Yeah.
So it, what you want to do and what you probably can get away with is going to be a huge part of, it's like diplomacy on overload with this one potentially.
Yep. But just make sure I don't think it would, but make sure it doesn't come across too sappy sweet because no one will trust you. But I think with Mars.
I don't think this will be sappy sweet. No.
No, not with Mars.
No. So that's the first part of the week. And then we're into, I guess, the end of the week, which is a lot busier.
Yeah.
Leash, have you got some thoughts for us about some stuff?
I do. This is the last of the Saturn Neptune trines. Sextiles. I've written that wrong on my calendar. Yes, the Saturn Neptune sextile. And I just keep coming back to, so the first one was back in January and that was at 12 degrees of Capricorn and Pisces. And then the next one was actually prelude to the meat grinder, all that crazy in June, which was at 18 degrees. So now this is happening around just the end of 15 degrees. And there's a sense with this of whatever those visions or dreams or hopes of Neptune, what has been fueled, especially all year with the Neptune-Jupiter squares, is the last chance to kind of take that kite and anchor it down to the ground and hold on to it and allow something beautiful to be anchored to us. I feel like it's taking those castles in the air and actually constructing them in reality. That's the beauty. Saturn can bring physical manifestation to those amazing dreams and visions that that Neptune can bring forth. So I just keep thinking of that Mary Poppins Returns song, one of the first ones for those that have seen it, for those that have kids and have been forced to see it 1,000 times. It's the song called Can You Imagine That? And the whole point of that song is this life has been heavy and hard and serious. They lost their mother a year ago and suddenly Mary Poppins flies in and goes, oh, yes, life's very serious and you're very grown up. But you know what? maybe we'll try a bit of imagination. And there's this whole cool bathtub scene, and it's like a bit of water, a bit of fun, a bit of imagination and creativity can make the serious seem much easier to cope with. It is that spoonful of sugar that helps the medicine go down in many ways. So, yeah, I think that and the sun's going to be involved in all of this as well, the sun in Scorpio. So, yeah, there's going to be some interesting spotlights shone on this from that really emotional, empathetic, compassionate place. But I've been going on a while. What would you guys like to say about that?
It's beautiful. I mean, I love the idea of the song and the bathtub. Like, it's all very Saturn, Neptune, isn't it? Bringing in the water themes and the hope. And yeah, I think Saturn, Neptune, it has been one of our big aspects for 2019. It's been going on since February. And it does feel like making a version of a dream that you had real. Like, you know, with Neptune, and this is something artists and writers talk about, like in your mind, your creative dream exists in its perfect form. And then when you try to bring it into the real world, it can lose some of that sparkle, but it's the best you can do to make it manifest. And that's part of what I think this Saturn Neptune is about, is making it manifest. So the essence of that perfect vision is in the thing, but to understand that once you bring it into the real human world, it may never quite be as pure and perfect as it was in the imaginal space, but that's okay.
Yeah, that's beautiful, Kel.
What about you, Cass?
Yeah, I think when this aspect first popped up, I think I might have said something along the lines of making the impossible possible.
Yep.
So, you know, that might be, you know, something to perhaps contemplate, you know, with all the other energies that are surrounding the upcoming periods where things might feel a little bit, you know, too much. And then you're like, well, you know, if I really kind of buckle down and do the work, Saturn, I can make a dream come true. So there is a, you know, an aspect of opportunity with the sextile. It will take some effort. It will take some work. I'm not going to lay out the red carpet for you, but here's an opportunity. You run with it. So, yeah, I think that's something that, you know, can allow us to sort of still feel inspired by reality.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Because it is, you know, it is what we've got, you know.
Yeah,
that's all it is.
Yeah.
Reality is an illusion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, that's beautiful. So that's going to be Saturday in Australia. I think that'll be Friday for people in Canada and
Correct.
the States.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's 16 Capricorn to 16 Pisces.
It is, yeah.
With the sun at 16 Scorpio.
Yeah. So I like too that in this particular Saturn Neptune iteration, we've got the sun involvement, which I just wonder if that help, like if there's a sense of extra support, or you're seeing things, or you're getting some extra inspiration that can just take you a little further with what you've been kind of playing around with. Yeah. There.
It could potentially, you know, help thrust you forward around, you know, an identity expression that you haven't really felt that you could push forward to. You know, Sun Saturn's a little bit fearful, but then if you add the Neptune to the mix, well, it's like, well, what's possible if I just sort of, you know, not worry about how others might perceive me, or, you know, letting those fears overcome. So, you know, if you have a sense of self-belief and faith, you can kind of, you know, unleash a little bit of inner Regulus and do the work and shine your own light in a way.
Yeah. Yep, totally. The confidence that it brings in, and the clarity, you know, this is the sun shone on this. It's like, you know, you can perhaps see where Neptune might be a bit too dreamy and where Saturn might be a bit too heavy, and try and find the middle ground between the two.
Yeah. Yeah, the role of an intermediary is an interesting one, isn't it? It can link things that are struggling to connect, but it can also provide a point of view that helps those other two pieces like get on the same page.
Yeah.
Love it.
Cool. And I think it's you up next, isn't it, Kel?
Yeah, I'm going to talk about Mercury retrograde in Scorpio sextile Pluto in Capricorn. And that's happening Saturday the 9th if you're in Canada and the States, and that'll be Sunday the 10th in Australia. So from 20 Scorpio to 20 Cap. I'm really drawn to this aspect. It's the second in a series of 3 sextiles between Mercury to Pluto. The first one happened back October 19, 20th when Mercury was still direct, And the third one will happen in about December 2nd or 3rd when Mercury is direct again. So this is sort of the retrograde activation in the middle of those two direct hits. So Mercury Pluto to me is like the investigator. It's like almost that classic journalist, you know, with a pencil and a notepad, just like a dog with a bone that's not giving up, that they've got an inkling or they caught a whiff of something and they need more because they know there's more to the situation. And so Mercury sextile Pluto to me is about trusting those spidey senses about something's off here or there's more going on here, and then digging for facts. And, you know, digging for facts is asking questions. It's doing research. It's reviewing what you've been told or going back over the information at hand. And there's a lot of reflection, I think, in this Mercury sextile Pluto aspect, like thinking back to events from that October 1920 period. Did it make sense? Do you still have questions? Do you need to return to that topic? I also think Mercury sextile Pluto is a lot about really deep and meaningful discussions or thought-provoking conversations. So it's more about those kind of intimate, profound interactions rather than, you know, maybe not seeing, you know, a large group of people, but having dinner with your best friends or a couple that you're really close to or what have you. So I really think that's going to put a level of, I guess, depth, intensity, intimacy, and privacy into this weekend. And I just wanted to make sure people understood that it was part of a series of Mercury-Pluto aspects. So it's not a one and done. It's, you know, part of a sequence that began mid-October and runs until early December. Do you gals have any thoughts about this aspect? Anything that you would add or say differently?
I guess from the Scorpio locked box.
Yeah, the vault.
It is the vault. Yeah. I mean, because this is the backwards part of that Mercury, there is such a sense of, you know, I even get that it might be wanting alone time. It might be that kind of Saturday night where you're like, you know what, I don't really want to be with anyone right now. Or if I am, it's with that one person that I trust and that I want to open up with. But I just get this sense of really diving deep, and it's like the seabird that dives deep and gets its food and then brings it up and processes it. But this is almost like it's doing it on the run. It's just this sense of depth and intensity and pressure, and perhaps even looking at ourselves and going, what is it about us that we need to understand that came back from that mid-October period? How can I reflect on this internally, the part I may have played in any circumstances, whether or not I was trying to gain control or trying to gain power, which is potential with Pluto, and being honest. You know, Pluto wants honesty. Pluto wants the truth. It doesn't want to gloss things over. It brings things back to bare bones. So, yeah, it might be that there are some parts of ourselves, some shadow sides of ourselves that we need to reflect on. But the best thing about that is we know ourselves out of that, and what better way to be a better person than to know who we are. So, yeah. That's my Scorpio take on all this Scorpionic, Plutonic energy.
Yeah, the insight, the chance to go deep and get to know some of those nooks and crannies internally that you normally might shy away from or hide from, I guess.
Yeah, totally. What about you, Cass?
For me, I think this, you know, you girls have touched on a lot of, you know, my thoughts around it too, but I really love your point, Lishi, around the time alone piece. And, you know, sometimes when you do spend more time alone than you're used to spending, you start thinking about things a little bit differently. And, you know, you can also you could skew the facts, skew the data if you overthink as well. You know, that's a definite going down the rabbit hole with Scorpio. You can, you know, like, you know, I think of accounting, you know, you can make the numbers fit kind of any way you want them to be, depending on who you're showing. So I guess there's this like reflective side that kind of might also help you see something you didn't quite see back in that initial connection back on the 19th, 20th of October. But then it's also having to, you know, be a little bit like, am I kind of Scorpioing the thing, or is this actually the thing? Oh, Winston's making an appearance. So
love it.
So yeah, so this might sort of, you know, help you. It's this thing like, I think I'm like smelling a hot lead here or I'm onto something, but there is that potential to almost sort of like second guess the idea. Is it my head talking? Is it my intuition talking? It's going to be, a little bit of time alone, I think, is really going to help you figure this one out.
Yeah, that's the thing with Scorpio. I think that's one of the tips I wrote for this Mercury retrograde is to it's an awesome time to be trying to read between the lines, but just making sure that you don't go too far into it and start to see things that don't actually exist. And I think, it's that kind of thing. You can be chasing rabbits down holes, a bit like Alice in Wonderland with this. And it's like, okay, you got to come back up for breath and try and work out what's real and what's made up.
Yeah. Yeah, the time alone can help you, sit with the emotions or sit with the feelings. I always listen to the signals in your body. What is that giving you? Yeah. Rather than getting all obsessive about it and like confrontational or this or that. It's like, okay, I'm just going to take this Mercury retrograde step back and just really
the Taurus,
okay.
The Taurus antidote to the Scorpio.
Yeah.
Come back to the body. Yeah.
It's like, let me just eat some food and drink some wine and really think about this one.
Or not think.
Not think. I mean, I think there is probably, it's a good caution to throw out there because I think there probably is a little bit of obsessive thinking with this. I mean, it's Mercury and Scorpio in aspect to Pluto. So it's a good caution to be mindful of going down the rabbit hole and then using the Taurus antidotes to bring yourself back into the present rather than the
get out, go for a walk or something, just to get your head space in a different place as well can really help.
Yeah. And just that, what you were saying, somatically feeling emotions in the body. That's one way to check if it's your head or if it's real, just closing your eyes, spending some time. It's like if you're feeling stressed or anxious about something, feel it in your body and then process it that way is an awesome way to kind of filter it out and process it out rather than having to keep the hamster in the head turning round and round and round.
Yeah,
I don't know anything about that.
No, this is totally unfamiliar to you, Leash.
Completely.
Never knew that about you in the last 15 years, Leash. I think I shared something on my Instagram, a couple of weeks ago. And I always, when I think about Mercury and Scorpio, I often revert back to something my grandmother used to say when I was younger. And she'd always, she had this way of saying, Cassie, always trust your gut because your mind can play tricks on you.
Yes.
And I think this is a huge one for Mercury retrograde in Scorpio.
Yeah.
If it gives you those like butterflies or that sick feeling or it's churning in your gut, that's your sign. But if you're up here, that's not your sign.
Yeah. That's a really good point. And I think for basically like just November in general, because Mercury in Scorpio retrograde, I mean, Mercury's partly retrograde and partly not this month, but Mercury's in Scorpio the whole month. So we're all learning how to manage the mind. And Scorpio is a sign ruled by Mars. So we're in the depths, but it's not comfortable. It's prickly or it's spiky or it's sharp or it's uncomfortable and potentially a bit confronting. So that's a great assessment, Cass, like coming to the belly. And if your belly is unsettled, then it's something you need to maybe act on or speak about.
Yeah. It's one good thing about being a Cancer.
One good thing? Just one?
Yeah.
Well, and maybe there's a couple more.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
So
I think that's
the end of the week. Yeah.
We've had a lot of us this week.
It is, but it is actually a quieter week in terms of aspects. So that's
but they're
why
pretty big aspects.
A little bit less.
Allowing. I mean, I think the skies of this week are actually allowing you that time and space to go, stop. I need to, go just, bask in the sun in the paddock and do my body feel so I can work out where my head's at, all those sort of quintessential self-care things I think is going to be really helpful for people this week. And if that means you have to renege on a commitment or say no to someone or something because you're just not there right now, then do it, like that's just part of what, Mercury retrograde in the deepest sign is inviting you to do.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely.
And the other one is if you're really in that headspace where you're second guessing yourself and thinking things through, then it is time to reach out and to a friend you trust or a person you trust who knows you well to give the reflection of actually that's not real. Come back out of crazy land and
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, someone who can really call your bullshit, I think will help you if you feel like you're in that spiral too.
Yeah, with Pluto, anyone that can call you bullshit's always a good thing.
Another good thing that Cancer is for.
Yeah.
Yes, true.
Well, and that's where I guess, I don't think this is a weekend to spend time with a bunch of strangers or large crowds of people. I think, your intimate, close, safe inner circle are the people to either be with or to have on call.
Yeah, totally.
Which look, hey, Cass, you and I will be together on this day, won't we?
Oh my gosh, you will.
I didn't think about that. Oh yeah, there's going to be
I just looked
can you imagine?
Yeah.
I know.
Sorry, Kel. We'll FaceTime
I'm
you.
totally jealous, but that's fine. No.
I know. I was
Anyway.
like, what's this November 10? Why does this date feel so familiar? But yeah, we're going to be doing all the Cancer Scorpio stuff.
Oh,
yeah,
okay. You're going to have to tell everyone about it in our next episode.
Yeah,
Yes.
we'll have to do some social media of selfies of each other.
Or not.
Yeah, maybe it's not a selfie one.
No.
Yeah, it's like a hidden one. So, yeah, that's
Talking
the week.
about what's coming up, what have you girls got coming up this week?
Well, this week is very much like getting back into routine for me because I was away the previous week, that transition week. But I am getting ready for my next online course, which is a 3-part training on benefits and blessings, where to find the joy, the happiness, or the pathways to contentment and fulfillment in your birth chart. So that's starting Monday, November 11th, and you better sign up for that via my website.
Awesome.
What about
you, Cass?
I'm in the midst of my layering techniques course, which is going really well. And just making some plans and cooking up some stuff, which I'll probably announce maybe in next week's episode.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Awesome. And I'm doing much the same, actually. I hopefully will be working hard on some end of 2020 stuff. But I do have an offer for any of my website subscribers newsletter subscribers for a free meditation or accessing the intuition for this Mercury retrograde. So if you would like that, it's like a 20-minute meditation that you can have a try and a bit of information about the Mercury retrograde. So just sign up to my website via aliciayousuf.com to get that.
Excellent.
So thanks, ladies.
Thank you so much. See you all next week.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye for now.
Bye.
See you.